This is my 2000 Lexus LX470, and today I'm going to be replacing the rear differential fluid, the transfer case fluid, and the front differential fluid. Let's get into it. Before you go ahead and remove the fill plug, make sure your parking brake is off so your cable has some slack and you can get your tool around it. So let's get the fill plug off here. Yep, so you can see some oil coming out already. And there's that sweet smell of gear oil. Now let's go ahead and get the drain off. So now it's all coming out. Oh crap, it's gonna overflow. So yeah, that didn't work out as planned. Let's see if I can clean that up here. Alright, so everything is drained out here so far. I've kind of cleaned up my mess here. I'll clean that up off camera a little bit more. Now we can go ahead and inspect our magnet on the bottom here. So there's some crud, but you know, minor little metal stuff. It's a little bit okay. You obviously don't want to see any big chunks or flakes or anything. So I'm going to wipe this off, put a new washer on, and should be good to reinstall. So the torque spec here for the drain plug and the fill plug is 36 foot-pounds. Alright, now let's go ahead and fill our fluid through here. We're gonna have to use one of those pump things. So I have about a gallon of 80W90 gear oil, and I'm just gonna be using this pump right here to pump it all into the rear axle. Alright, still got a long way to go. This takes about 3.5 liters. Almost there. I think it just needs the last of the bottle, and then I think it should be good. Alright, I think this one's good here. Let's go ahead and put our fill plug in. So there's nothing really to clean off here on the fill plug. I just gave it a wipe, and then I put a new washer on right here. So this is the same torque spec here, about 36 foot-pounds. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to the transfer case. Alright, let's go ahead and do the transfer case. The drain plug is right here and the fill plug is right here. I'm actually not going to be replacing these washers here for the drain and fill, as I have a pretty significant leak from the rear output shaft, and I'm obviously going to have to keep checking the fluid all the time on long drives. So I'm just going to be doing a drain and refill. So yeah, this one was pretty filthy. Alrighty, let's go ahead and crack our drain here. Hopefully minimize the amount of mess that I made compared to last time as well. Alright, so that's loose. I'll put this back in temporarily. Okay, so once again, the fluid was pretty filthy. So I just cleaned off the magnet here. It seems to be normal kind of wear, no big chunks or flakes or anything, just normal kind of dirt and grime and a little bit of metal. It's normal to see some metal on the magnets here. Don't be super alarmed. Alrighty, let's go ahead and put our drain plug back in. Once again, I'm not replacing the washer here, but I will leave the part number in the description. Alright, that's tight. Just give that a little bit of a wipe. And let's fill it. This takes gear oil that is 75W90. So I'm all locked and ready to go here. I have this screwed on, and this is our 75W90. Let's go ahead and start pumping. Alright, so this bottle's empty. I'm gonna go ahead and get a new one. Okay, so that seems to be full. Just gonna go ahead and check the pinky, and yep, we're good there. So let's go ahead and put our fill plug in. And give it a good tighten. Alright, cool. Now we can move on to the front differential. Alright, lastly we have our front differential. I'm sorry there isn't really an angle where I can get the camera in, but I'll put a picture of how it looks on the screen right here. So you can see the fill plug is right here and the drain plug is down below. Let's go ahead and crack the fill plug loose. And make sure you clean this out as it's a 10mm hex and you might risk stripping it. Okay, got that loose. And now it has my ratchet stuck to it. Come on, there we go. Okay, now we can go ahead and get our drain loose. So that's loose. Now let's go ahead, take it out and let our fluid drain. So the fluid on this one is pretty clean. It was just a good peace of mind to change all 3 of them, as this transfer case fluid was pretty filthy. Let's take this out. Once again, I'm just going to wipe off the magnet here. There's some stuff, but it's nothing to be concerned about. No big flakes, no big chunks. Alright, let's go ahead and put this back in. I'll leave the torque spec on the screen for how tight it's supposed to be, but I cannot physically get my torque wrench in here. The front diff is kind of low, so I'm just going to go by feel. Oh, and don't forget your new washer. Alright, our drain bolt is tight. Let's go ahead and put fluid in the differential. It's tiring after a while pumping. This is thankfully the last differential. Alright, so that's one bottle done. I'm gonna go get the other one. Alright, so I'm on to my second bottle now. I'm just going to finish this off. Just a little bit more, and then I think we're done. So now there's a constant stream coming out at the top, so I'm going to say that we're done. Let's go ahead and put our fill plug in. As always, don't forget your new gasket when you're doing this. And once again, I'll place the torque spec on the screen if you're able to fit a torque wrench. Alright, and I think we're done. Except I have to go clean up the big mess I made. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this job here. I'll keep monitoring the rear differential and front differential for leaks, as well as the transfer case I'll have to keep topping up. This job wasn't really too bad, however having to keep pumping fluid using the transfer pump gets tiring pretty fast. If I were to do this next time, I'd look into using some of those pouches that you can just squeeze into the differential. I also wanted to apologize for some of the lighting, as I'm not at my home garage and I had to do this job without most of my tools and lighting accessories. As always, if I screwed or messed anything up while working on this vehicle, feel free to let me know, as I always enjoy learning. Thank you.